Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to talk about traveling. I think it's important for people to travel, especially if you're in a young age. When you're young, you want to see different things. You want to go and get turned on by different shit. It really helps you to become wiser, help you to figure out what you want to do in this world, where you want to go, what kind of person you want to be. You can kind of understand how things work a little better. One of the problems that I notice is that a lot of young people have a local yokel mentality. Even if you're from a big city, I've seen people that are from LA, from DC, from New York, Chicago, from big urban centers, and they still have this local yokel mentality because they live in a bubble. I know people that they don't ever leave West Los Angeles. I know motherfuckers down in Santa Monica, they don't ever go past when the streets stop being numbered. They turn around and go back to the beach. They don't ever leave the fucking beach. It's like they're extreme bubble. And these are the same people that'll tell you how the world is, tell you about geopolitical issues, tell you about culture. And it's like, dude, you don't ever go more than 17 blocks in any direction. How are you gonna tell me shit? Go travel. Just waste some money on it. It won't be a waste. You'll remember that shit for the rest of your life and build memories. Find yourself a little travel buddy if you don't have one. It's more fun to experience shit like that with other people. Go to Europe, go to Africa, go to South America, go experience some different fucking climates where you've only seen that shit on TV. You won't always be impressed. Sometimes it could be anticlimactic. I went to the Grand Canyon. I wasn't impressed by the Grand Canyon. Isn't that weird? I got there and was just like, cool, I guess. I don't know. I'm not trying to dog Arizona, but I just wasn't impressed. But I'm glad I went. I have some funny stories about that trip also. I was talking with a guy that I've known in this town for a long time. He's a business owner. He owns a printing business. When I had my t-shirt shop, I had a retail store. In our first location, was it our first location? Because we moved it a couple times. In the first location, he was right next to us. So when you have a business next to somebody, usually you're either friends or enemies with them, and we became friends with the guy. He's Jordanian, from Jordan. Muslim guy. Jordan's cool though. And I've been to the Middle East. I spent 2 months in the Middle East. Went to Israel, Egypt, and Jordan. I can talk about Israel and Egypt in other videos, and I have another video about my Egypt trip, and it was pretty wild, pretty amazing, at least in my perspective. But let's talk about Jordan, only because it's one of my favorite places that I've ever been, and I've traveled America extensively. I've been to almost all the states except for Hawaii and Alaska. I've never been there. Canada, Mexico, Europe, all over the world. Traveled the world twice. Jordan is one of my favorite spots. People ask me, as far as American states, what's one of my favorite places to go? Of course, California. I mean, Jesus Christ has everything. But oddly enough, West Virginia. I'm a fucking huge West Virginia fan because I like mountains. And that was one of the most impressive aspects of Jordan, was the mountains. They have desert and they have mountains. The mountains in Jordan were majestic. I mean, like biblical. We're just looking at the sunset over that shit. You just sit there in awe and you're just like, God damn, planet Earth is amazing. You feel lucky to live on this planet. And I stayed at a hotel that was high up in the mountains, and I wasn't in like a big building with a hotel room like a Hilton, and I've stayed in plenty of those. This was a little bungalow, a little tiny little micro house, and there was a series of them, and it was all up on this kind of rocky hill at a resort spa. The whole spa was laid out on these cliffs, and very expensive, and the hotel room was just amazing. A little front porch area, and they had a little mini bar, and I grabbed me a beer out of the mini bar. It probably cost $22 for that fucking beer. Who knows what? I had a couple of them. And just sit there and watch the mountains and the sunset. It's amazing. One of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life. This is why it's worth traveling. Spent all this money. That trip cost me so much. I could have bought a pretty nice car, like a brand new car, paid cash. Instead, I blew all the money on a trip and on a vacation, but it was worth it. Just to have some of those memories. They have desert there, one of the cool desert areas in Jordan that you can go check out, which has been a little developed since when I was there was nothing there. The area was called Wadi Rum, and it's where they filmed Lawrence of Arabia. So if you've seen that movie with, Peter O'Toole? And that's the location. They have this area, I believe they call it Seven Pillars, and I don't know if it's a mountain or just a big giant rocky hill, but it has what looks like 7 pillars on it just from natural erosion. And the area is pretty neat looking. You almost feel like you're on Mars. When I was there, there's literally nothing out there. Nothing. There's just no man's land. Now, I've seen on Facebook, because I follow a lot of different photography pages, if you go to Wadi Rum now, they have some pretty cool camping and hotel stuff that looks really neat. I wish it was like that when I was there. We would have stayed there. Some of the stuff looks amazing. So, these are areas to check into. Petra is probably what Jordan is most famous for, and that's this whole city built into the side of a mountain. And it's neat. You walk down this, it's like 1.5 miles or a 2-mile little path, and half of it, or a good part of it, is in between these, like this rocky path where there's like 2 cliff sides next to you. I mean, it's maybe about 20 feet across. Some areas it's a little bit more narrow, and it's really amazing. Then you finally get to the bottom, and it opens up, and there's this big carved building in the side of the mountain. The whole place is pretty cool. Very touristy. You can take camel rides and stuff. I don't take no camel rides. I've been in the Middle East for a couple months. I don't take no stupid camel rides. You don't get me on a fucking camel. Fuck off with your camel. But you can do that shit if you want. You can ride donkeys too. I don't care about riding donkeys either. Donkeys and camels. I'd rather walk. I don't know. But they really push that shit on you. Those camel motherfuckers come up to you every 5 seconds. You want? Just like, no, motherfucker, no. Get that thing out of here. But you might like it. They have a bunch of cool little towns. We drove all over Jordan. I had a little Jeep. I had 2 guides. Drove all over. Hours at a time. 5-hour drive here, 4-hour drive there. Just drove all over. They got the main city, Amman, Jordan. Big city, urban place, big high-rise buildings. I stayed in like a Hyatt Regency or a Hilton or something in Amman, Jordan, and it's just like any other hotel that you've been to. Nothing really special, but Amman is really safe, and they promote that shit. They're like, at the hotel, they tell me, you can go walk around Amman, Jordan at midnight and not get mugged. And I'm like, okay, cool. And they say it's the safest city in the Middle East. Okay, I got you. But they will promote you to do that. If you want to go out, and you can go. And I'm like, no, I believe you, bro. I don't have to go and try it, do I? You want me to actually go and see if I get mugged? I don't need to try it. But Amman is where a lot of people start off. We went through one little town, tiny little Arab towns, Jordanian towns. One that was dedicated to coffee. And I was a big coffee drinker back then. I stopped drinking coffee. But they have a statue of a coffee pot that's like 2 stories high, right in the middle of the town, right as you drive through. And I was just like, fuck yeah, this place. This is a lot of other places that, they worship different shit. This place worships coffee. That's their hero. Coffee town. I tell you one little weird scenario in Jordan, and it was really just my paranoia. And at the time, I was living down in Culver City in Los Angeles. I had been through several shootings at that point, and living in a pretty heavy-duty gang neighborhood, and just paranoid in general about people. And we're driving along the road. Got the 2 guides that we've been with the entire time, in the front seat of the little Range Rover that we're in, and then we're sitting in the back. Everything's cool, you know, and they say, well, your hotel that we're taking you to is 3.5 hours down the road down there, or we could just scoot across the desert here. It's only a 15-20 minute ride across the desert, and we could hit this other road and be there in about 30 minutes, cut this whole journey down to about an hour. Otherwise, it's going to take 3.5 hours, something like that, if we continue on the road. So everybody's into it. I'm with other people, and everybody's like, that sounds great. I'm like, fuck no. You stay on the road. We're not driving across the desert. I don't know you guys. I mean, you guys have been cool and all that, but I'm not letting two Arab dudes drive me into the fucking desert. And everybody's like, oh no, this sounds like a great idea. So they just go. My opinion doesn't matter. They drive off into the desert. We're driving. There's no, you look at the horizon, it's just sand. It's just desert. I mean, there's hills and shit, but it's just desert. And I'm like, there's no road out here. These guys are gonna kill us. This is a fucking, this is a trick. This vacation just turned into a nightmare. I'm gonna have to play action hero on this shit. I'm sitting there thinking about weapons. I got a belt. What else can I use? You know, I mean, I got my hands. I got to take these guys out. I'm going to take the driver out first. The passenger is probably going to jump out of the van and the vehicle and run, but I'm going to have to catch him and kill him. I'm going to have to take both these guys out. Done. I'm going to have to take them both out, and then I'm going to have to take this vehicle and get back to the road. I'm plotting this whole thing out. I'm paranoid as fuck, sitting there going through this in my head, about to snap into action. Because it's got to go. Once you move, you got to move quick. This has got to be explosive. It's got to happen fast. And I'm like ready to snap. I'm stretched to my point. I'm ready to just go. And the guy turns around and he can tell that I was paranoid as fuck. And he says, you see, the road's right there, you see? And I look, and sure enough, and I calmed down, and I was just like, with a big smile on my face, thinking, man, you guys don't know how fast this could have gone sour. And I'm so glad I trusted these guys and didn't go crazy. So it would have ruined my whole trip in Jordan. We kind of had a little laugh about it when we got back to the hotel. And the guy was like, I was checking you out in the rear view, and I can see that you were getting paranoid. He was just like, man, I was really hoping you weren't going to punch me in the back of the head. I was just like, dude, I was thinking about it. But go travel, have cool experiences. Go check out Jordan. Probably cost you an arm and a leg to get there. But if the guy says we're cutting across the desert, just believe him. It's not a trick. People in Jordan are totally cool. Thanks for watching.